Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host Flavia Barris as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur. Hey, Lifestyle Solopreneurs. Today we get to speak with Edwin Carrion from Miami, Florida, who's a husband and a proud father of two beautiful girls. He's a United States Marine, entrepreneur, self-made millionaire, investor, and mentor, and the owner and co-founder of several multi-million-dollar companies that specialize in the acquisition and sale of precious metals. Oh, can't wait to talk about that. He's in real estate development, he's in transportation, logistics, investment, and also business education and consulting. His specialty and passion is teaching motivated individuals his secrets, techniques, and proven strategies that will create wealth in any business you choose. And as a result of that, achieve financial freedom. Welcome to the show, Edwin.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you? Thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you for being here. You are a man of many talents. I call people like us slashies because we are like one thing slash another thing slash another thing slash another thing, or, hyphenates, whatever you want to call it. But you really do kind of work and dabble in lots of different things, and you've had quite a past and quite a few different careers. If you were to say what your favorite thing that you do is, like your one career, the one business that gives you the most passion out of everything you do, what would that be?
It's not one business. It's the one passion that I have is building something from scratch, making it grow, and just turning around and selling it.
Well, I love the idea of building something from scratch. Personally, what I like, a lot of what's exciting to me about building a business is creating the business identity and brand and the feel of it. The name, I even love naming. I have more fun naming a business than actually naming my child. I mean, I feel like that to me is exciting too. What's your favorite part about starting something from scratch?
It's just making sure that we get to the finish line, how everything gets structured and knowing where you want to get to since the beginning. And that's one of the things that I notice a lot of entrepreneurs lack. It's putting that GPS, putting that address into that GPS when you start a business, meaning that knowing where you want to end up to and how you're going to end up there. So to me, that's the part that I like. The beginning part where you start putting the business plan together, the cash flow sheet, figuring out how you're going to get to where you want to get to, and then actually executing that.
And so how did you get to where you are today? Give us a little bit about your story of how you ended up where you are today from a time when you were not yet an entrepreneur.
Well, I was born in Quito, Ecuador. I came to the United States when I was 12. I was raised by a very hardworking single mother. So I'm very proud and very thankful to her for everything that she's always done for me. And raised very with God in my heart. That's one of the things that I could tell you that God has always been in my life. And when I came to the United States, I started my first business washing cars at 14 years old. We used to live in an apartment building. And I learned a very important lessons there that once I had enough cars that I couldn't handle, I had to hire my friends to do the dirty work. So they were washing the cars. I was getting more clients. So I learned the power of leverage. And since that moment forward, I always figure out that I don't like to work, that I just need to figure out how to create something and have people work for me, and I just manage everything.
So you'd rather create a job than have a job?
Yes. And the reason, now I understand it a little bit differently, that when I create a job, I'm helping people. So the bigger my company is, the more people that I can always help. There's always ways to impact people. And one of the ways to impact people is by creating jobs, by creating work. So when I create a business and I hire 50 people in my company, not only am I supporting 50 people, but I'm supporting them plus their families and whoever else they support and whoever else they buy from. So everything just trickles down. And then from there, I turned 15 years old. I became a DJ. I love DJing. I actually grew my DJ company from me just being a single DJ into DJing to radio stations in Miami, doing concerts, having dancers with me, having a full production company and 10 DJs working for me. And just like everybody else, when you have the fame, everybody's looking at you, you start hanging around with the wrong crowd. So 18 years old, I got arrested. And I think that's the day that I really decided to change my life for the better. Because when I got home, the first thing that I did was get on my knees and I said, God, please forgive me. From this day forward, I'm going to be the best person ever. And I actually felt God touching me at that moment. I felt his presence in front of me. And from the day forward, I could tell you that everything I wanted in my life, I have gotten it. Whether it's material, whether it's in my personal life, in everything, in every single way, I have received everything that I wanted in my life from there forward.
And why do you think that is?
It's just the power of believing, the faith. And I think a lot of people nowadays lack faith. And when you have the faith in you, there's nothing that could go wrong. Yes, there's things that are going to happen. There's obstacles on the way. But having that faith, it just makes you realize that you're eventually going to accomplish everything that you want. Just having that belief, that strong faith, that strong belief, it could be in you. You know, you could be your own God if you don't have a belief in God or a higher power or whatever you want to call it. But if you believe in yourself, if you believe that you're your God and you give up that belief to yourself, you're going to accomplish everything else. And just to sum everything up real quick, I wanted the cars. I have the cars. I wanted to be a pilot. I'm a pilot. I wanted to have boats. I had boats. I wanted to have mansions and live in $1 million houses. I own those. I wanted to have a beautiful wife from Colombia. I'm married to a beautiful wife from Colombia. And I wanted to have daughters. I didn't want to have boys when I had kids. I was said I want to have only girls, and I have girls. It's like everything that I have asked for, you know, it has accomplished.
And if someone were to say to you, how do you do this? You're the master of manifestation, or maybe the master of prayer, or you have this connection to either your higher self or a higher being. How do you actually make this happen? Is it through prayer? Do you write down goals? Do you have vision boards? Do you picture things in your mind, or do you talk them out loud? What's your secret sauce for getting your dreams from your wish list into reality?
I think it's all of the above that you just mentioned. I mean, it all starts with figuring out what is it that you want, you know. And let's put here an example. If I want a Lamborghini, so I become obsessed with that. So, you know, I start looking at the car. I start looking at even if I can't buy it at this moment, I will go online. I'll start picking out the car that I'm looking for. I start looking at the car that I want, the color that I want, the interiors that I want. So I start putting that in my head. And then, of course, I need to figure out, you know, what is it that I need to do that? So how do I figure out that I could get a Lamborghini? I need to figure out how much is it going to cost me. So once I know how much is it going to cost me, yeah, if I don't have all the cash to pay for a cash at the moment, then I need to figure out how much, if I was to finance it, how much can I finance? How much do I need to bring down? And how is it that I could get it? So it's not only manifesting, it's not only because everybody says, you know, I have a vision board and I have this, but if you don't do anything for it, it's never going to come to you. It's never going to fulfill. So those are the things that, you know, that you have to do in order to accomplish this. And then eventually, yes, sell your dream. If you can't get it by yourself, then you sell your dream to somebody else. And what do I mean by selling your dream to somebody else is that I always wanted to have my own plane. Number one, I always wanted to be a pilot. So I became a pilot, but besides that, I wanted to have my own plane. And at that moment, I knew that I could not afford a plane by myself. So what did I do? I sold that dream to my business partner. So my business partner, of course, he loved the dream of owning a plane. So when I figured out, okay, I knew the plane that I wanted, I knew that I couldn't afford it, I knew what I needed to do to get it. So I sold that dream to my business partner. My business partner was on board, and we went together and we bought a plane 50-50. I was more than able to afford it at that time, but I was able to get what I wanted. So that's how I manifested me buying a plane.
Well, I love that. I love that when you have a dream and a goal, you break it down into the steps necessary to get there, you know, and you actually quantify it. Like, okay, people say, oh, I want a vacation house. But how many of them actually go on to Zillow, let's say, and pick out exactly the kind of house they want and then see what the mortgage would be, or see how much cash they need to put down, or how much cash they need to buy it all cash, and actually then say, well, how many widgets do I need to sell in my current business to then be able to buy this house? I love that you break it down into those kinds of steps. So then you have almost a checklist, right? Like you've got to do A, B, and C, and then boom, your dream is accomplished, right?
Yes.
And what was your first airplane? We're an aviation family over here as well and love general aviation. It's kind of an interesting little world. People who aren't into general aviation probably don't realize just how many teeny tiny little airports there are. It's this big network of small airports all over the country. And I've learned so much about it through my husband, who's a pilot. But tell us what sort of your favorite airplanes are that are out there that you love to fly for the joy of flying.
Well, my wife she tells me that I'm a geek and I'm a nerd. I think I'm a cool geek and a cool nerd because I'm very into gadgets. I'm very into technology. So when I wanted to fly, I wanted to fly nothing but the best. So of course, for the general aviation single engine plane, I got a Cirrus, an SR-20. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Cirrus, but it's the only
Yes.
airplane that has a parachute.
Yes. And it's fast. It's fast.
Very
And it's,
fast.
a lot of times I'll be at an airport and I'll see a plane I like. I just like the way it kind of looks. Look at my husband. I'm like, is that a Cirrus? And we're like, yep. Because it has like good aesthetics and it's not big. I mean, it's just you and a couple of people. I think maybe it seats 4 or 5, 6 maybe.
Five
People. Okay. Yeah. Right in between 4 and 6. So 5 people. So really the inside of it is like, a modern day SUV or something like that. It's not this like huge thing. It's nimble. It's great. My husband is the opposite of you. He's a cool nerd too, but he nerds out on almost like very vintage. Like I'm sure he probably had a past life in the steampunk era, like all the, the late 1800s, early 1900s, because he loves that era and all those things. And he loves mechanical things. So he wants an airplane that is almost like an antique collectible. So he has a Piper Super Cub and a Cessna 180 with huge wheels on it so he can land on dirt fields. So that's kind of his approach to general aviation. He's sort of a classic guy.
Yes. No, I'm more of a new guy. I like new stuff. I like something that looks good and it gets me there fast. So I'm still into adrenaline a lot. So the one that I'm looking at right now is the Diamond DA62, which is a dual engine, very beautiful plane. They're actually made in Canada. So if you ever look at those, find out what the Diamond is. They're beautiful planes.
Sounds great. Well, we don't want to, spend too much time on aviation. I guess my point of all of this is for anyone who's a lifestyle solopreneur and has dreams, manifest them. Whether it's you want to learn to be a pilot and then buy your own airplane, if you want to, start a company so that you can accomplish some other goal, I know somebody who started a company very successful and then they took a portion of the proceeds from that company's earnings and they actually do a lot of charitable work in other countries and around the world. And it's amazing what you can do if you really set some sights on some goals. And then, like Edwin is mentioning, your advice is great. Don't just have the goal as this isolated little island. You've got to figure out how you get from the mainland to that island, an actual path. You need supplies on the boat. You need to figure out, the tides and the currents, and you need to anticipate the twists and turns and then actually take some action. One of my favorite quotes, and I don't know who said this first. I heard it once, so I'll quote it anonymously. If you know who said this first, you let me know. Write in, if you're listening to this podcast episode, just send me an email. But it is, when you pray, move your feet. Don't just pray, but do something. Take some action. Do your part rather than just praying and hoping and asking. So, and I can tell that is how you live as well. So tell us a little bit about being a United States Marine. The Marines are pretty hardcore. I don't think anybody would argue that with me. I'm pretty hardcore indeed. How long were you in and what was that like?
I can tell you, the Marine Corps, wow. I mean, it's a pride that I will carry for the rest of my life that nobody could ever take away from me. It is one of the toughest ones. So the Marines are the best. So if anybody's hearing here in the armed forces, thank you for your service. But if you're a Marine, thank you. You are the best. It was tough, the boot camp part, but everything else, again, is mental, is mind. So it teaches you how to have that pride and how to overcome any obstacle. One of the things that in the Marine Corps, they always tell you is adapt and overcome. One of the biggest takeaways that I got from that was always to continue adapting and overcoming. I have lived through recessions, through bankruptcies, through ups and downs. And it's just like the thing that keeps me going every time is learning to adapt and overcome. I had a great career in the Marine Corps. I was very fortunate to do only what the top 10% of the Marines get to do. So I was not really in the Marine Corps because 90% of the time that I was in the military, I was guarding the American embassies. I was doing, I was going on the mule in battleships to do warfare training. But while I was guarding the embassies, I got to meet a lot of the high foreign dignitaries, which is President Bill Clinton, Madeleine Albright, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. I got to spend time with the head of the FBI, head of the CIA at the time. So I got to see what a lot of people on the federal side did. So that's one of the reasons that I actually left the Marine Corps, because I like, if I was going to stay in the military path and the government path, I wanted to jump over to those other branches.
That's amazing. We're a military family over here as well. So I just want to say thank you for your service. All of what you've done is what keeps this country safe and moving forward and operational. And it's no easy feat. And yes, we're Navy side, not Marines, but let me tell you, the Marines are hardcore. I know another Marine. You're not my only friend who's a Marine. And yeah, hardcore all the way. So very impressive. So tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now. Like today, this slice in time, what are your current projects that are driving you every day to work and to move your projects forward?
I only do four things at the current moment. I own a transportation company that I bought 3 years ago. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I like growing companies and then selling them. One of the things that I learned after I sold my first company is that you do make the money. You buy your time back every time you sell a company. So instead of me working the company, I'm making $1 million a year. I'd rather sell that company for $4 million and just save myself from working for the next 4 years to make those $4 million. So I learned how to buy my time back, which is very valuable because that's the only commodity we have left in this world that we could never get it back. So my transportation company, I bought that company in 2017. It has grown a lot. This year, in 2020, we got awarded into the Inc. 5000. So we're number 1,600 into the fastest 5,000 growing companies in the United States. And that company is a very demanding industry. But to me, what I love was the challenge of going into something that I didn't know and growing the company and just proving that I'm able to continue growing companies just by following the simple basic steps, which you could call it my formula to success, which I will share with you in a minute. The second thing that I do is real estate development. I've been doing real estate development since I left the Marine Corps in 2002. And that's my passion. That's where I built my wealth. I created a lot of my wealth. And 90% of the Americans in the United States, of the rich people, that's where they create their wealth, through real estate. So I became a real estate developer. I love doing multifamily projects. I love building high-end projects. Right now, I build houses between $3 to $5 million. And I do small multifamily projects just for cash flow, to continue paying for my toys and the daily stuff. On top of that, I own an investment fund. So my investment fund, we invest into the Forex market. So I'm very diversified in everything that I do. So you have to have multiple sources of income. And that's what I always preach. Have different sources of income, because when the market changes, when things changes, you always could rely on something new. But I do not advise to have multiple sources of income or people to do multiple things until that one thing is running by itself, or you have the right partner to run the company while you're able to start something new. And that's one of the things a lot of young entrepreneurs now, they want to do 20 things at the same time, and they don't do any one of them properly because they're spread out too much. So what I do is, normally in my transportation company, I actually went head on, and that's it to be at. Now that the company runs by itself, that only takes 5 hours of my time a week. Then I was able to continue focusing back into my real estate development, because I know real estate development like the back of my hand. So that company runs by itself as well. It only takes me 5 hours a week at the most, and putting time into my investment fund. But the last thing that I do is, again, I always said, how is it that I could leave a legacy behind? And the only way to leave a legacy behind is not donating money or giving money away, because I have done that in the past and I didn't feel fulfilled. So the one thing that I started doing now, I started mentoring. So I teach people, young entrepreneurs, people that want to learn real estate, I teach them how to do real estate development. And I love real estate development because it's not flipping, it's not wholesaling. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I do differently is that I love to invest my own money with the people that I teach. So those are the four things that I do.
That is amazing. And you said you were going to share with us your formula for success, a way that you can make businesses successful in a way that they become self-sustaining, where you're not putting in 90 hours a week on them. What is that formula? Or there's probably not enough time to give us the whole formula, but give us one highlight that we can take away from this.
I think I mentioned it at the beginning, but I'll give you my 3 steps that at the beginning I always share with everybody. Number 1 is have faith. Always have faith and do not lose the faith. Because if you're getting into something, you have to do it because you believe in it. Number 2, have a business plan. Because if you don't have a business plan, you do not know where you want to go. And number 3, create a cash flow sheet. Your cash flow sheet is putting the business plan or putting that address into your GPS, because that's how you're going to figure out where you're going to get and how long it's going to take you to get to where you want to go.
And out of those steps, where do you think most startup entrepreneurs fail? Where do they need the most help? Which one of those do you see is missing from people's startup endeavors the most?
The ones that is missing the most is the number 1, faith, because they always have a plan B or a backup plan, and nobody ever does a cash flow sheet. Out of maybe 10 people that I mentor every time, 9 out of 10 do not have a cash flow sheet. They have a business plan, but his business plan is like, you give me your address and you tell me, Edwin, here, come to my house. This is my address. I'm going to get to your house somehow eventually, but if I don't put your address in the GPS, that's when exactly it's going to tell me how long it's going to take me to get to your house. So they missed that one part, which is very, very critical, which is the cash flow sheet.
I know your time is so valuable. I mean, there's so many things you could be doing, even just flying around in your airplane in the skies, looking at your developments in the real estate world, working on your business, working with your team. But you're here with us. You're doing this podcast. Why is it that with all of the things that are on your calendar that are requirements and things you have to do and that you want to do, why do you also take the time to speak to all of us on podcasts like this one? And what's your motivation there?
My motivation is God gave me a talent, and that talent is to be successful at one thing. And he taught me what my secret formula to success is. So if I could share that with as many people as I can and create an impact, again, like I mentioned a minute ago, the reason I like teaching people is because that's the only way I could create a legacy. It doesn't do me any good if I give away money, because the money will be gone in one day. Money comes and goes every day, but the only thing that will be left behind is education. And nobody could ever take away that from somebody.
And how would somebody either follow you or look you up on social? Maybe you have a website. How do people get in touch with you and connect with you if they want to learn more from you?
If they want to find out about mentoring services or just, get a full bio on me, they could go to my website, which is edwincarrion.com. My first name, my last name, edwincarrion.com. If you want to follow me in the social media scene, I'm always available in Instagram and Facebook at edwincarrion78. So my first name, my last name, and number 78, because that's my favorite number. And it's also the year that I was born.
Well, coming right at you from a 77 person. So as someone older, but maybe not wiser, I encourage everyone to connect with Edwin. And Edwin is spelled EdwinCarrion.com. So EdwinCarrion.com. It has been such a pleasure to talk to you, Edwin. Thank you so much for being on the show, for sharing your wisdom with us, and hope to see you again sometime soon.
Flavia, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And good luck in everything else that you do. God bless you.
Guess what, lifestyle solopreneurs? If you don't yet have an online business earning you enough passive income to live the life of your dreams, I'd like to suggest you consider trying out Kajabi. Kajabi is an all-in-one solution where you can create and teach online courses, publish a paid newsletter, launch a free or paid podcast, process payments, build one-on-one coaching portals for your clients, and much, much more. I personally use Kajabi to power numerous successful and profitable online businesses. Lifestyle solopreneurs, there's a free trial of Kajabi waiting for you at this link, www.kfreetrial.com. You can try Kajabi for free, no obligation, by going to www.kfreetrial.com. Again, kfreetrial.com, and that K stands for Kajabi. Starting an online business helped me break free from that corporate grind, and I hope it does the same for you. You have nothing to lose and absolutely everything to gain. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, and see you next time.